Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. And I didn't think I'd be doing a video like this so soon after the last one, and yeah, as you can probably tell by the title of the video, I went to Japan again in a very short period of time. I think it was about 5 months between my last trip and this one, or 6 months, something like that. It was within half a year or so, and there were specific reasons for going, but I won't really go into that in this video. But I thought I'd just do a quick vlog on things that I wanted to talk about this trip. Some of the stuff I did, not going to recount every single day like I did last time, mainly just going through some highlights and stuff I did, mainly because a lot of days blended in together this time, and some days were very, very similar. So it's better to speak generally about the trip. So basically I had returned to Japan in absolute peak hour period, so very, very, very early April to sort of the end of April, which is pretty much peak cherry blossom season. The cherry blossoms were delayed about a week because of the cold climate, so I was able to see them go into full bloom, which was very, very cool and unexpected, but it also means that there were an insane amount of tourists pretty much everywhere, myself included. And I thought it would be interesting to talk a bit about that specifically, because you constantly see vlogs and videos about Japan and how amazing it is. And it is absolutely an amazing country and a lot of fun, and there's just a million things to do at any one time. But I feel like what's glossed over is just how insane the tourist density is in a lot of key areas. Things like Fushimi Inari in Kyoto, Gion, which recently had to put a ban on tourists because of their bad behavior. How busy Tokyo gets in peak hour just normally, and then you add tourists on that and it gets insane. Things like Osaka, the Kuromon markets, Dotonbori, things like that, they just get absolutely rammed, and I don't think it's talked about that much, and I feel like I'll be touching upon that quite a bit in this trip. So basically I went for about 2 weeks, bouncing a little all over Japan. So starting in Tokyo, immediately traveling to Nagoya in that same day, which was exhausting. The jet lag really caught up to me right at the end of that day. Spent a few nights in Nagoya, just exploring the city because I didn't really get a chance to explore it that much the last time. Going to Hiroshima, then Osaka, then Kyoto, then finishing in Tokyo. And that's roughly what I did on the trip, mainly just hitting up a lot of anime spots, but also just exploring parts of the country that I hadn't explored before in major cities that I hadn't explored in the way that I had previously. So I started things off in Nagoya. Well, specifically I started things off in Tokyo Station because my train to Nagoya wasn't for like 3 hours, so I shopped around Tokyo Station for a bit. It's a pretty fun place. Honestly, there's an insane amount of things to do, but it is very difficult to get around if you've got your suitcase. There are places to store it and things like that, but because it's one of the busiest stations in the world, a lot of the storage locations are fully booked up. So it's a little awkward getting around the station. Even though there's a million things to do, you could easily spend a literal day in there, and there's just almost endless things to do there. But pretty fun place. Went to Nagoya, immediately crashed and passed out as soon as I got to my hotel. But the next day went to Osu, which is sort of the main shopping district of Nagoya. Oh, well, there's Sakai and Osu, but Osu is sort of like street food, general food, anime shopping, just souvenirs and things like that. It's a very like the touristy spot of Nagoya. And thankfully it wasn't insanely busy, because out of like the big cities in Japan, usually people only talk about Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, and that means things like Hiroshima, Nagoya. They're busy but not incredibly flooded, which I greatly appreciate. So I went around Osu, did a little bit of shopping there, nothing too crazy. Went to like the Super Potato there. Super Potato there's really cool. It's a retro game store. There's a few around Japan, but I really liked the Nagoya one. It was small, but it had a really nice retro focus, and I really liked that. Whereas a lot of the newer ones, or a lot of the other ones in like Akihabara and Osaka, feel a little bit more catered towards slightly newer things, or the price points feel a little bit too steep because that tourist tax is very noticeable. But went to like Mandarake there, found some cool stuff. Didn't really buy that much, but it was just nice to experience, had some nice food around. And then went back to Nagoya Lalaport, where the all-you-can-eat KFC was last time, and had that again. And it was just as good this time. It's just a lot of fun. I think it's like 90 or 80 minutes for not very much. It's like 2,500 yen or something like that. And yeah, just all-you-can-eat KFC. It's delicious, fresh, and just good. Japanese KFC is nice in general, and I really like the all-you-can-eat factor of it. So that was nice as well. If you want to know a little bit more about it, you can check out my previous vlog from last year, because that was my first time experiencing it, so I think I had more to talk about then. But it was, again, another solid meal, and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't too hard to get to, which I also appreciated. Then the next day, we went to Nagoya Castle, which was busy, but it was also sort of like the busy of locals visiting the area, because it's cherry blossom season, so everyone's out to see the cherry blossoms. So I quite enjoyed that. It felt like I was seeing a slice of like everyday life for a regular person there. Very few tourists around Nagoya, at least on the weekday that we visited. And it was a really beautiful castle. It rained, but it was still very, very nice. Full bloom cherry blossoms just look beautiful, and I really like that. Don't just ignore me looking down constantly, because I've got my phone with photos from the trip, just trying to remember what I did chronologically. But yeah, we visited the castle grounds. Just a lot to do. There's a lot of street food, and it gave a very traditional sort of festival atmosphere, and I quite liked that. I like the Japanese festival atmosphere. It's very nice. And yeah, just looked around there for a while. It was fun. And then after that we went back towards around Sakai area, and went to like the Studio Ghibli store, Pokemon store around there, and that was fun. I went to a Lawson to play an Ichiban Kuji, because a new Dragon Ball Kuji had just come out that day, and I really, really wanted it. It had figures like normal Trunks, Future Gohan, Vegeta at the end of Cell Saga, where he's wearing like a very casual outfit. It had Hercule, Perfect Cell, and then the last prize was Angel Goku and King Kai. And it sort of came at a very sad time because of Akira Toriyama's passing. So I think a lot of people really want that Angel Goku, because it feels like a farewell to the franchise. Anyway, I played that about 15 times, and amazingly I got 2 of the large figures, and I very quickly realized that I had pretty much maxed out my suitcase immediately. This is the start of the trip, and I'd somehow maxed out my suitcase, because the Hercule figure is gigantic. The Trunks is big as well, and together they take up about a quarter of a suitcase, and that was effectively the space I had to work with at that point in time. As well as a lot of the other small prizes, that nothing too crazy, but I was really excited to win 2 figures in a relatively small amount of tickets. But after that, I travelled back to Tokyo so I could travel to the Kanamara Festival, which is a penis festival. You might have heard about it from a lot of social media lately, because I think in the last 2 to 3 years it's become way more well known and way more popular, and it is a relatively new festival in general, because I think it started around the 60s or 70s. Definitely within, say, like the last 40 or so years, this festival's been going around and slowly gained more and more traction. There is a bit of history to it. I'm not going to say anything about it now. think that the Wikipedia article about the festival and its origins is actually quite interesting. But generally it's a big, silly penis festival. You can buy penis hats, have penis candy and things like that. I have a lot of photos from it. They're probably all blurred out on here, but it was a fun festival, and I really, again, loved the Japanese festival atmosphere. But the line to get into this, and we went relatively early, the line to get into this took over 2 hours. From start to finish, from the start of the line to getting into the festival itself took 2 hours. The line went from the gates all the way around the shrine, then beyond to a nearby park, then across a road, then down the road, then across the road again, and starts at the train station that is local to this shrine. And that is freaking ridiculous. Pretty much every single person in line was a foreign tourist wanting to go to this festival. So many of them vlogging, so many of them with cameras out. And yes, I might be part of the problem as well, but I wasn't necessarily vlogging. I was just taking photos. I wanted to experience it because that stuff's kind of funny. And I heard it was a good amount of fun. Heard there's also interesting things to do there, and I wanted to see it for myself because it seems like a bucket list sort of fun thing to do. What I wasn't expecting was an insane, busy, and just frustrating experience of lining up and waiting. Once you're actually in the shrine, it's a lot of fun. They limit the numbers in such a way that you can actually just freely experience all the festival activities once you're in there, and I greatly appreciate that. It's just that there is so much overcrowding before this activity. And it's just frustrating that this is a free shrine where you can just visit, and locals go to this shrine and things like that, and they can't even get in because of this freaking line, because so many people just want to get their shot of them parading the giant penis around, or them talking about, whoa, this is so quirky, and it's just frustrating. I don't want to be that type of vlogger that does anything like that. I want to be someone that's just in the moment, experiences it, takes photos, has a bit of fun, can talk about it a bit later. But I'm not in people's faces with the camera going, whoa, this is crazy, whoa, that's amazing. I don't like that sort of thing. And every second person was that sort of person. And it was just bizarre. But yeah, the festival itself, a lot of fun. And a lot of quirky and silly things, a lot of stuff that I just cannot show on this channel. It will be all blurred out. But trust me, it was a lot of fun, and I quite enjoyed my time actually there. Had one of the best yakisobas of my life from a street food stall there, and yeah, that part of it I really enjoyed, but all of the pre-festival stuff was just absolutely frustrating, and I don't wish that line on anyone. But after that, saw some really nice cherry blossoms outside our hotel. We had one of the best views I'd seen of Japan from a hotel room. Usually I don't spring for expensive hotels, so usually I get crap views. But this one turned out pretty good, and I really liked it. The area is Kawasaki, and Kawasaki is a very lovely area. Then after that, I traveled to Hiroshima because I wanted to do the Peace Park, and spent 2 nights in Hiroshima, so travel day and then sleep, and then full day in Hiroshima to do the Peace Park and things like that, and then off to the next journey. Got to have Hiroshima-style okonomiyaki for the first time, which I'd never had before, and over the course of this trip I've had it 3 times because it was really, really, really good. Went to this really tiny place that can fit maybe 10 people on a good day. And it's just these 2 guys just constantly making okonomiyaki. There's anime memorabilia and international, like, quirky knickknacks just all over the store, things they've collected over the years from either travel or people have gifted, I imagine. And it was just a really quirky, fun place. There were mixed reviews about it, that they weren't foreigner friendly, or the lines were super long and awkward to get in. Thankfully, we pretty much just came at the exact perfect time and were able to sit down and have a meal almost immediately. And it was really nice. one of the workers asked where I was from, and I said Australia, and then they pulled out this funny little button that you press and it says weird little Australian phrases.
You'll be right, mate. You.
And that was fun. There's a lot of little like artwork shikishis on the wall, signed and drawn by different people that are either manga artists, anime artists, or other celebrities, and I thought that was really cool. Found this place completely by accident, and I think we hit upon a bit of a hidden gem, or at least not really a hidden gem, because the line after we left was very, very long. But that was nice. Did some crane games afterwards, realized that I'm terrible at crane games. I mean, I knew I was terrible at crane games anyway. This last trip, I spent so much money trying to get a Luffy that it was just did my head in, but I needed to win this time. So I spent quite a bit almost getting a prize, and then I left, and then the next person won it. And then they told me how to win it, which was kind of funny and cute and annoying. But after that, I vowed that I needed to win just something from a crane game, so I basically tried every single crane I ever came across. Beyond there, Hiroshima during the day, we were right by the Peace Park, so we went in. The actual environment around it is beautiful and has so much history. It's incredible. The cherry blossoms dotted all around the grounds are beautiful. Everything is just so nice in that space. The museum itself is incredibly powerful and moving, and the new additions to the museum are even more so. And it wasn't insanely busy if you go right sort of at opening. There's people, but it's not too crazy, and it's just special. It really is. It's something that I don't recommend taking photos of. I think you just experience it in the moment, and you have a story to tell afterwards. It is very, very moving. And again, the grounds itself are fantastic because of that. There are different monuments representing different things, donations from different countries, and just a very rich and dark but important history of this area. And I felt something the first time I went there, and I felt something again when I went this time, and it was incredibly special. For the rest of the day, we explored more of Hiroshima. It's a pretty nice area. There's a main shopping street, I don't know what it's called, but it's near the Peace Park, and there's just a million different shops, and it's really nice. Found like a popcorn vending machine, went into a random soba restaurant, had another okonomiyaki in like a weird other park that's nearby the Peace Park, but not the Peace Park. That was really nice. And just the views were incredible. The arcades were annoying because I couldn't win anything. And yeah, just a nice area. I really enjoyed Hiroshima, mainly because it's busy but not too busy. And then after that we went to Osaka, stayed a little out of the city, but I think it was a nice little out of the city. There were very few tourists, mainly just locals, and I liked that sort of vibe. And realistically not too far out, because you could walk to, say, like Dotonbori and Kurumon Market in about 20 minutes from where we were, so you didn't even need to have a train. I thought that was pretty cool. So I went for a morning walk and went all the way there. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. I lucked out a bit. Went to Kurumon Market in the morning. Had something that I'd wanted for a long time, which is called a tako tamago, which tako means octopus and tamago means egg. So it's a small fried octopus with a quail egg in its head, and it was kind of nice. It's really weird, but I like that sort of thing. Then I had 2 high-grade beefs. One of them I'm skeptical if it was a high-grade beef or not. The stall seemed a little sketchy, but they said it was saga beef, and it was incredibly fatty. I didn't really enjoy it. And then the other one was Miyazaki beef, and that was really, really good. I really, really rate that. I had an Ichigo Daifuku, which is strawberry mochi with red bean paste. It's really, really, really good. Especially Japanese strawberries, because they're just so juicy and flavorful. Then I shopped around Denden Town for effectively the next 3 days. seeing different parts of Osaka, as well as debating whether or not I should spend a lot of money on different things, which I will do a separate video on the haul stuff that I bought while I was in Japan. But I spent probably a good hour trying to win something in the Crane Games. I did finally win something. It is a Marin Kitagawa from My Dress Up Darling. That will be in the whole video as well, but I finally won it. I didn't ask for help from the staff. The staff offered to help because they saw I was struggling. I was useless. But I did finally do it. I did finally understand what they were saying. And I finally won the figure. I don't want to think about how much it cost me, but I won it. And that's the really important part. Then I immediately went to another Crane game and then won a figure in one go. And I was very, very, very happy about that. That one was entirely skill-based. The other one was sort of luck-based, but also, like, you need to know the method. And I thought I knew it, but I wasn't doing it quite right. But then after that, Den Den Town, really cool shopping. I went to the big glass display that I went to last time that had, like, all the different figure arts lined up and all the Berserk figures set up, and because there's new figures out, they've fully changed their display, and I really like what they've done with these. Really nice. I just love the action poses and dynamic dioramas they've made. It's really, really cool. And just shopping around there for a while, really, because there's so many photos here. Saw some cool figures, some stuff that I want, some stuff that I don't, just some weird things, some really cool miniatures that were painted by different people in a lot of the modeling stores. Really made me want to sit down and build some model kits again. It's been a while. Had a nice Hamburg steak for lunch. And found 2 Grail figures that I was looking for a while, which again will be in the haul video. And yeah, I think that was it for that day. And then the next day, went to Osaka Station to check out the Nintendo store and the Capcom store, and I was pleasantly surprised that there was a Berserk pop-up store on that same floor. I had no idea that was happening. There was a cool sort of like display where they've got half of Guts' sword stuck in a stone, or stuck in like some bones and things. You can take a photo with it. Cool art all over the place. You can buy pretty much everything you see there. I bought a few things. The main thing I bought an art book from Mura. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the author's name correctly, but I bought Berserk artworks from him. And I thought it was special to have, especially since he's no longer with us, that we can always remember the incredible impact that Berserk had on the anime and manga industry, as well as the gaming industry, and just dark gothic stuff in general. And weirdly, just beyond the Berserk exhibit was like a weapon store, and they just had 1-to-1 scale weapons and stuff from Nier, so took photos of that. That was cool. Capcom store was nice. I heard they used to have a Ryu statue doing a Shoryuken, but they didn't have it here anymore, so I was a bit disappointed about that. There was a One Piece store. Bought a little bit from the One Piece store. They had a nice 1-to-1 statue of Luffy. The Nintendo store was nice. They just had like every amiibo. It was crazy, man. I've got every Smash Brothers amiibo now, but like, if I was just starting a collection, I would have gone nuts here. They also had a Pokemon store. I didn't really go in, because I'm not that big of a Pokemon guy. Like, they're cool, but I don't really play the games that much. I'm sort of more a sporadic fan. Like, I'll play every second or third game. And I'm like, yeah, it's enjoyable, but I'm not like super into it. And then I think I went back at night to Den Den Town and just shopped around some more. In the morning, went to a cafe, just shopped around Dotonbori, just to see what's going on there. And I was a little bit too early for Dotonbori to fully open, but it was still nice to check it out. Saw some nice stuff. Bought another suitcase because I needed it desperately, and the suitcase's lock was broken. And it was a discount suitcase, so it didn't really matter. But I bought a separate lock for it to fix that. But yeah, just shopped around Dotonbori a bit. Went back to Den Den Town. Had lunch there. Bought some fresh melon pun, delicious. Did a little bit more shopping because there was something I saw the other night, and I was debating about it for like a full 24 hours and eventually caved. Then made our way over to Kyoto and Kyoto was beautiful, a little bit out of the way where our hotel was, but it was close to Fushimi Inari, which is what I wanted to do. Unfortunately, it was also one of the hottest days in April. It was like 26, 27 degrees Celsius, which is wild for April in Japan. And I wasn't really dressed for the occasion. I was pretty fatigued from all the travel, as well as my friend that I was traveling with. So we only did a little bit of Fushimi Inari, but the start of Fushimi Inari, which is all the torii gates and they go up the mountain sort of thing, the start of it is incredibly busy and really, really frustrating with how many people there are and how many tourists there are. It's really claustrophobic and really awkward. But after you get to like the second or third checkpoint of the gates, you can see that the crowd thins out massively, so you can actually enjoy it and get all the photos you want of that nice walk, the beautiful landscape and everything like that without anything ruining it. So if you do it and you want just photos from it, just go a little bit up, and I think you can get a nice shot of the area and enjoy the trip. But the surrounding area is beautiful. Kyoto is still a pretty gorgeous city no matter where you are. I think it was Takeshita-dori was where I went afterwards. It's near Gion, it's like the main shopping district. That was really busy, pretty claustrophobic and awkward, even though it is really big lanes. Just people everywhere. Saw so many people vlogging again. Saw someone set up a big camera, walk in front of it, look at the camera, do like a nice little shot, and then walk back, and they're like, all right, take it from the top. That's interesting. I had a pineapple on a stick. That was disgusting. It was like a candied pineapple, and I was hoping it was as nice as the other candied fruit I've had in the past. Nah, that was not good. I had some fresh takoyaki. That was good though. And then just went along the riverbank, just exploring the city a little bit, and it's just beautiful. It was really hot, but it was just a very, very nice place and nice time. Then after that, went to Tokyo, staying around the Ikebukuro area. By some dumb luck, there was a Goddess of Victory Nikkei exhibit happening, and I really, really like that phone game. So I bought a ticket for entry. You can't take that many photos of the area. There's a lot of no photos, and there's a lot of security guards making sure you don't take photos. But it was really cool to see. There's some art that you don't usually get to see in the games, and some really cool life-size displays that they had. Really enjoyed that. Bought a lot of stuff. Went to some of the other local shops, saw some beautiful Gundam displays. Really, really again made me want to get into model kits again. I've got a backlog of model kits I just haven't built for a while. And then the next day went to Akihabara, went to the Tamashii Nation store where they pretty regularly change their display, so got to see some really cool figures that aren't out yet, and I really enjoyed that. I didn't really buy too much in Akihabara, bought some soundtracks and stuff, and got denied entry from some cafes just because they were full or booked out, and that was a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Went to the Ami store, saw a lot of stuff on pre-order, and they just look really, really cool. The second Ami store was closed for renovations, I believe. I know it's closed, but I think it's for renovations, and that was disappointing because there's some stuff there that I did want because the main Ami store didn't have it. But it is what it is. Saw some cool displays, went into a lot of the big touristy stores just to show my friend the massive tourist markup on a lot of the prices. It was just disgusting for a lot of them. Had a Magikarp Taiyaki that was cute and nice. Went back to Ikebukuro to the main Sunshine City, saw the Pokemon store there just because that center is genuinely really cool, especially since just outside the Pokemon Center they've got like the Pokemon integrated into the shopping center itself, and that's cool. Went to the top, not the top floor, but one of the higher floors where the Guinness World Record for all the capsule games are. They've changed the display a bit from the last time I was there. There's more shops, more just things on display to see, a lot of figures, a lot of figure arts, Yu-Gi-Oh!, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, One Piece, and then just an endless amount of capsules and crane games. So they also had a really cool display of a lot of the Ichiban Kuji figures, and it was funny seeing how many of those I have. They had a weird pop-up JoJo store, but I think it was like a thing you needed to pay or pre-book beforehand, and it's like almost like an escape room. There's like mini games and things. So I didn't really bother too much for that. I saw the new Dragon Ball card game, which I wasn't really sure why it was so popular, because the previous one was like decently popular, but not as crazy as this one. And then I saw the art of the cards and I was like, oh no, I think I get it now. The One Piece card game is sold out everywhere as usual, but you can get structure decks in Japan, which is cool and better than you can do in Australia. Went to a fine dining restaurant to have one of the other high-grade beefs that I haven't had before. It's called Matsusaka beef, and that was really, really nice. You can find several places that stock it in Tokyo through just a quick Google search, and this one was very, very good. It's called Toyoken, but you can also go to Mie Prefecture, where they actually farm those cattle, and it's like a very inexpensive meat there because it's the local meat. But yeah, it was very, very nice. Then went to Shibuya Parko, so the Capcom store, the Nintendo store, the Pokemon store there. There's also like a weird, specifically indie/Dark Souls apparel store, which was interesting. Everything was super expensive there, but it was really cool. Our Airbnb was also a bit of a library, so they had a bunch of different manga. I didn't read any of them there, but I just had a quick browse at the selection. That was cool. Just having that there and available was just nice. Had one of the best curries of my life in just a random store in Nakano. Just like the guy's just constantly making a pot of curry all day. You just get food from a ticket, hand it in, and he immediately just plates it up and gives it to you, and that was so good. It was like $7. Beautiful, beautiful food. Went to the airport, bought souvenirs, the usual thing, and finished off in the exact same way I finished off the last trip, which was having some miso katsu in Haneda Airport, and that was very, very nice as well. And that was effectively the trip. Just browsing around Japan, doing a few touristy things, mostly food focused generally, but just doing what we can do and buying a lot of things. And that's effectively it. It's nothing too crazy. I just like seeing the sights, really, but sometimes people in general can get in the way of seeing the sights. If you are going to go to Japan, I recommend off-peak seasons, just so you can enjoy this, like the country a bit more, just because it's so crazy in peak periods. It's just over-tourism is a massive problem, it seems, because you just can't do certain things. Like some exhibits of things that should be all day, you just can't get in. They say like, oh, booked out till the end of the month, and you're like, well, I'm only here for 2 more days. So many things you need to pre-book, and even then you need to line up. And it's just frustrating in general. So I recommend going off-peak times. Autumn is a good time to go. It's still a beautiful country, not too hot. Summer is disgustingly hot. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can probably get a lot done. I would say early March is pretty good. You won't see cherry blossoms, but it's like cool and you can get a lot done. Or say sometime in May is probably a good time as well. But peak season April is just insanely rammed, and it's beautiful for sure, and you can get this stuff done. You just got to be willing to wait or put up with a lot. And that's probably my recommendation, is that if you want to go April, go ahead, but you might get pretty pissed off at people in general. But look, I still really enjoyed this trip. Probably going to go again sooner rather than later. Probably not for another year though. But yeah, again, another rock solid trip. I knocked off pretty much everything I wanted to do on this one. Probably next time I'll do all of Fushimi Inari. But until then, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.